I call the education committee meeting to order. You got a set of minutes before you and give you about a minute to look over 'em. Then after, I'd like a motion and a second if I could.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Same, opposed, like sign. I want to throw in there, Lauren will not be here tonight because her husband has COVID.
Oh my goodness.
She's they just tested, both had their shots and everything, and she's tested positive. Her husband has, and her daughter just got over it.
And we all had a close contact with her Tuesday night.
That's what
She
she
said she was negative twice.
Twice, and her
I've
husband was
had it.
negative
I'm-
once.
Well, I hadn't had that, but I've had the shots.
Her husband
She
was
said
negative
she tested
once, and
negative that night.
Yeah.
He was
before
tested
she
positive
did.
last
I
time.
shouldn't have said that.
Well,
No, that's true.
I wonder
That's
why
true.
she was up there, but
Right,
Anyway.
but she's kind of tore up about it. But anyway, however, I'll move forward. I'm not asking anybody to take a vote. We're not going to ask for any votes asked, none taken. And I just wanted to turn it over to Director Luttrell. He's got some information that I thought was viable for him to share with us for some upcoming stuff. I like to get everything in front of us and not behind us. So, Mr. Luttrell.
Michael's got
And Mike.
handouts.
Mr. Smith, I'm so sorry.
And, thank y'all for meeting. There is
How old are
nothing to
you? I
vote
said
on,
Mr. How old are you?
but I wanted to,
Mike.
I'm committed to making sure that, like Annette said, we're out in front of things. I don't like going into big meetings and then it being rolled out. I'd rather do it this way so we all are on the same page. What you have is an RFP. This is going to hit the paper Saturday. You can keep this. I'm not going to ask you to turn it back over, but please, I'd prefer it wait till it does hit the paper so our notices are correct. What this is coming out of, as you know, and I keep reporting, we're over 1,100 students, new students from the beginning of the last school year. Some steps we've taken to look at where we're at. The first thing, and I don't have that in your packet, but it's what we use, is our, we have one sheet, and we can email that to you.
Be glad to.
That shows all of our schools, and you're going to see two numbers. You're going to see core capacity, and what that means, that's what your cafeterias will
Core
handle.
capacity is what legally we can put in there for cafeteria and for safety, for fire marshal kind of stuff. That's what the building is certified for.
And then you're going to see a section, student enrollment. And then there'll be a section that shows percentage of capacity. And that's of the core capacity. And presently we have two schools. This is the first place we went to look and see how do we plan going forward through this growth. West Elementary is 103% capacity.
103.
103.
I'm going to ask him to email us all this information as well, so we'll have it.
Everything
We'll
else
give it to
tonight should be in there. That'll go on our website as well.
Okay.
That's not in there. That's where we started, and we'll get that to you. Gladeville Elementary is at 99% capacity. That's our two highest. When you look at that sheet, we have some schools in great shape. Some of our high schools, which if you look at how we built, like Gladeville Middle School, it's only like 74%, which makes, it's following the building program. So we looked at that. Then Michael and myself, we've been to meet with the mayor and Aaron.
Speak of the devil.
There he is.
Oh, look out.
And then we met with Tom Brashear. And what we did before we met with Tom Brashear, we took all of our information that we were looking at. We took our heat map showing what information we had of building lots that are approved and that are all the way through the process. That includes subdivision, single, the whole 9 yards. We put that on a map and identified here's the two areas where we have the biggest concern. We then came to Tom and sat down and said, we want to see where you think the growth's at. And when he laid the maps down, it's exactly the same. Of course, he's got a little more data than we got because he's got some projected data of what's through the process. And when you look at that, I'm not going to say it's alarming, but it is alarming of what is setting out there waiting to get approved. Now, we all know. Now understand something, Mo, and I want to stress this. When we say projected lots, there's an average of a 5-year build out. That does not mean it's going to hit us in the face next year. On the flip side of that, that's all dependent upon the economy, but it could hit quicker than but I don't feel like next year we're going to be out of room, if that makes any sense.
Except at West.
Except at West, we're already out of room. So what you have, and we're just going to walk through this. We're giving it all to you because I want you to know what we're doing. The reason I like doing RFP now, we could go negotiate a land deal. I'm going to tell you my fear in doing that. We're not real estate people, and I don't want to get us caught in a situation where we buy land, and then there's something that pops up that if we knew what we were doing, that could put this county in greater. So the purpose of the RFP is twofold. Number one, I want everybody to have a shot. I don't care where the land is bought, where schools go. I really don't. Don't make me, I could care less, as long as we can take care of our kids. But I want everybody to have a shot. So, and it's a legal document where they disclose some stuff, and you'll see things they've got to sign, where if something comes up, it's not disclosed, we've got some, am I right,
That's
Mayor?
correct.
Yeah,
That we've got some protection.
No,
If we-
I only brought 10. I brought enough for the education.
That's
Plus a
okay.
couple
If
other-
we just go out, I'll give you mine. Somebody can- If we just go out and buy land, I don't feel comfortable doing that. Because if there's something that's not disclosed and I don't know it and we don't ask the right questions, we could be left holding the bag on something that's not usable. And I don't want to do that to us. So we're going to use the RFP process. Flip back to the back of it. I want to show you one map. Your county map right here. With our numbers and our predictions, Tom Brashear's planning, his number predictions, we feel comfortable. Here's the two hottest spots in Wilson County at this time. You see the A section's on 109 and the B section is in southwest. And we drove around yesterday, and I will say after driving around, definitely accurate. I mean, you know, when you go down Gladwell Road and they're building, there's 250 sitting there, they're always starting on. So, here's our thought process. A being the most. It's the highest need. And it's just by a little bit. I think it's the highest need because I'm concerned about land availability on the 109 corridor. The longer we wait, the harder it's going to get to find a piece of land. B, the reason I say B, the southwest, we're working on a 5-year plan that we'll take to the board to get approved. That is a 5-year building plan, and then we'll bring that to you too. But we've got some ideas. The core at Gladwell Elementary is 1,000 students. That cafeteria and library is built for 1,000. We own the land. Our new elementary schools are being built for 1,000 students. We've got that at Rutland. That's what we're moving to. We can add an addition at Gladwell Elementary. Architects have already looked at it. We can add an addition that would make that 1,000 student school. And then all we'd have to do is add the classrooms, and we wouldn't need an administration office and a teacher workroom because they need some new restrooms. But you wouldn't have to invest in a new library. You wouldn't have to invest in a new cafeteria. That would get us to 1,000. That would buy a little time, especially if we end up here at A with an elementary school, another 1,000 students, and say in 3 years. That would buy us some time. But you're eventually going to end up at B anyway, because of Rutland and what's going on in Glade.
Rutland's at 81%
Yeah.
capacity. LeBron is printing y'all the capacity data
Oh, that's
real
good.
quick, so I'll get all that to you tonight.
So these are the two areas. So what you have, and we're not going to go all the way through everything. You can read. But the RFP.
Jeff, let me talk to you. You were talking about this not being out for Saturday.
Yes.
We're on TV on this one.
Okay.
It's okay.
It's okay.
You good?
Yeah, because it's been the board knows.
Yeah,
what we're
okay.
doing. Yeah, we're good.
We just couldn't get in the paper till Saturday.
So
because
that-
they
that's
get
trouble
into the-
putting it in print.
Yeah, I just
sometimes.
wanted you to know
Yeah.
in case you said something going out for Saturday.
No, no.
You can read all the legal, all those things. There's some protection in there for everybody involved, including the landowner, that when they present their land. When I flip through there to this part, let's see. The cost proposal form Exhibit B. So it looks like this. This is what the landowner will have to fill out.
Yeah, page 1.
Yeah, page 1, Exhibit B. Yes, ma'am. Just notice that it's got several lines there. we're going to reach out, and you're going to see this throughout the packet. We're going to take proposals from 18 acres up to 150 acres. And they can do it at 18 acres, they can do it at, I think, 50 acres, 65 acres. But we're also going to allow, if people want to put parcels of land together. If you've got neighbors that's got 10 acres apiece and they say, hey, here's an opportunity, we'd like to have, they can do that. And we would combine land to get what we need. Michael, do you want to give them the dates? It goes out.
So we couldn't get it in the paper till Saturday, so it'll go in the paper Saturday. It'll be posted on our website tomorrow. So anybody can download it. I've got you a core capacity sheet coming, and then we will open these on the 26th. I think it says on the front of there, it's a Tuesday. Our school board work session is on the 28th of October, and then our school board meeting, I think, is November 1st, is the Monday. So that's kind of our timeline here. We'll open the sealed bids, I think, at 11 a.m. on the 26th, Tuesday. And then once we get it to the work session, put it to board, we'll be coming, to y'all, depending on what the board.
And it may take a few weeks, because here's how this process needs to work. We'll get all the proposals, open them up. We're going to score them with the rubric. And there'll be a lot of factors, including, of course, location, real estate location, accessibility. Is there sewer? Is there water? What's the topo? What's it going to cost to estimates of that? And we will rate the best sites. There'll be a score sheet. The board then will ultimately be the one that would vote, this is the proposal we would like to enter into negotiations with. At that point, we will be coming to commission for funding.
Speaking of funding, don't you already have that taken care of?
What do you mean taking care of?
Don't you already have your own funds to?
We have not, nothing in our budget is
Okay.
budget for this.
Okay.
That's correct.
I mean, if you remember back in our needs assessment, I think that was on it, and they said find the land and come to the commission, and we'll
At
have
that
that
time.
discussion.
Correct.
And we'll bring score sheets to y'all too. I mean,
That'd be
Yeah.
good.
yeah, we'll have another open, and it may be one of those that if you
That'd
don't
be
really
great.
want to have a joint meeting, we'll have a joint meeting. If
I
that,
think with budget and education, that'd be great.
Yep. And so then at that point, you get your land bought. Then so I'm just thinking ahead, when do you build? Well, we get into that 5-year plan. If we could add the wing at Glayville Elementary, that might buy you a year out before you had to even consider building. That's our plan moving forward.
Can I ask a question?
Sure, I want you to,
Sure.
yes.
You're talking about adding an addition to Glayville Elementary.
Hadn't we already added the Glayville?
We have.
Yes, we did. Can I ask you where you're talking about? You can't go out.
No.
it would be another back wing. If you look at
So
Glayville,
you're
there's a
going
wing.
out to the back. That's the only way you could.
When you come around there on the right, you can come this way. We're
Right.
deep enough there to get 4 to 8,
Classroom.
four classrooms on each side. That would be 8. That's 160. I think we can get 5.
It'd be a 10 classroom addition. Is kind of how we drawn up to be approximately 10 to 12,000 square feet. It'd be 8 full classrooms.
8 full classrooms?
That's correct. And then essentially 2 other classroom sizes. One would be a teacher work area, and one would be a restroom, a male-female restroom.
Okay.
So it'd be between 10
We
and
feel like
12,000.
there's room. To
Okay.
be honest,
That's what I'm, you can't go. There's a church.
No.
Can't
But
go
there
there.
is room there. You could go.
To go out.
You could go
To go back.
1,200 if you
Okay.
want to. We don't want to do that, but
You don't want
the
no
room is
1,200.
there. No, thousands.
Oh,
No question. Are we only talking about elementary right now?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
that's where it needs at. And you'll see on your sheet,
Right.
our middle and high school are not showing.
Let me point out one thing for you now that y'all got this
Okay.
this sheet right here. If you look down, kind of what we're talking about is if you look down at West Wilson Middle School right now, it's at 89% currently. Now those kids are spread out between multiple schools, but part of our plan for that one is you'll notice the core capacity and classroom capacity is 1,300 and they're at 89. We are looking at the possibility of going back with a 1,500 as we're rebuilding and fixing that school to
Right.
kind of take care of our middle schools for a time being.
Yeah, that would.
But you can see that's our one hotspot area for middle schools right now. And then obviously you can also see, if you look, Green Hill High School grew by almost 300 kids just this year. So you'll notice Green Hill High School is now our second biggest high school. and it's been open a year. So
But then that's because you took so many from.
it is. I'm just, if you look at there, and you'll notice though, some of the schools are rebounding. You know, Mount Juliet High School. I mean, it dipped, but look, it dipped down to 1260, and now it's working its way right back up. So that'll kind of show you a trend dating all the way back to 2009 on this sheet, and we'll update this. We update this all the time, so we'll try to update this every 6 months or every quarter. And we can always bring this back to you and to the board. So.
Now, the elementary's only K through 5, right? Is that what you're doing?
Except for our K-8s.
Except for the K through 8.
Yeah,
But
building
you're not
line.
gonna build a K through
No.
8.
No. I just, on this list, we have lumped the K-8s in with the elementaries up
Right,
here.
right.
I just wanted that disclosed in there.
Okay, thank you.
Is it possible to get this in Excel so I can print it in larger paper?
Yeah, I'd be glad to. But I will try to send an email. I just,
Excuse me, Mr. Commissioner.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Are you thinking about getting the land now? We need to support that. But are you thinking about the building coming up in year 3 from now, or year 2?
Possibly.
How
Possibly.
soon? Do you have any idea?
Whatever your numbers dictate. I mean, I think, Nick, I'm not saying building by right now.
Yeah, right.
And if we add that wing on, I think that could buy us a little time, because with Stoner Creek, we've added,
200 kids capacity at Stoner Creek.
so we're basically a 400 400 to 500 students we'd be adding. That could get us possibly a year
The
or
crunch
two.
right now, though, is at West. You
Correct.
can't build anymore West.
No, but we could change our zone and bring some of those kids to Stoner Creek.
Right.
I think that's what you was saying.
Well, possibly a year ago.
I think we can. If we got this place to put them, we can do some shifting. You can always shift some of your zones, and I know that's unpopular, but that's just where it's gonna have to be as we handle this growth.
As we look at the percentages, though, there's several other schools that probably going, in my guesstimation, 5 years out, maybe? Are you thinking that?
If not sooner.
If not sooner, yeah.
We grew, we're up at least 1,200 kids, 1,000 right now from last year.
And Mr. McFarland, let me say, to really get ahead, as soon as you can get an elementary in that 109,
Yeah.
because I mean, we just look at Spence Creek
Okay.
and look what's going. They're looks to me like they're doubling. I came through early in the morning.
Well,
Yeah, so the quicker we can get that out of the ground, the better off we'll
Where
be.
does Bender's Ferry
I
go?
wasn't asking you.
Bender's Ferry, some of that goes to.
No problem.
I've not got it all memorized yet. Some of it I think goes to West. Some of it goes to Lakeview. Right?
It does.
That's correct.
Yes.
Because,
West
I
of
mean,
Yes, it does.
there's 2 big projects going in on Bender's Ferry.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One on the dead end and there
Yeah.
two going in. That'd be 1,000 homes with all that, I bet.
Yeah. But
I wasn't asking for my information, I was asking your guesstimation for everybody else sitting in here.
right. And it's hard to make that guesstimation. But the number one thing is I feel like we've got to get to land because of availability. That's my biggest
And
concern.
in those particular areas that you mentioned, not just anywhere.
Yes. Yes.
Is there no way at all that we could add an addition to West? Can you go back?
You can't go back.
Go back.
You can't
could
go
We've
back.
already done that.
Just
See,
said that.
You
And
could
you
go.
had done that.
Yeah.
That's the
could
reason.
potentially
And I
go-
know you can't
You-
go out.
You could potentially go over.
You could
But
go-
you're going
come
to take
over
up
the rock.
parking and playground and some of the sports fields right there. But that would be a tough. We'd have that core capacity would have to be expanded. So at Gladeville, we don't have to touch the cafeteria. We don't have to touch any of that.
Right.
At West, we would have to do something
Build
there.
another.
Okay.
Commissioner
But it is
Smith,
possible.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
excuse me, Commissioner Smith.
Thank you. Just really quick, I'm thinking about funding. Can we use any money or any for the one-time expense for land? Once the final rule falls down?
If it's, if we're taking it on the loss of revenue, yes.
Okay. I will tell you what they have told us. I was in some trainings last month, or some conferences. They were discouraging schools from using any ESSER money for capital projects.
He's talking about his AR.
This is
Okay.
county,
Okay.
this is county.
Talking about funding of the land
Okay.
for the county.
What, doesn't school system have some property in other areas right now?
Golden Gate.
We have one piece of property off Golden Bear Highway. It's approximately 52 to 54 acres, give or take. However, we currently do not have road frontage to that property.
You do not have road frontage?
That is correct.
Wow.
It's landlocked.
Why in the world is it?
And it's next to a gas line.
We are in negotiations.
That, yes, but we can work on some of that with gas line just yet.
We are in negotiations with some landowners there to do something there. Maybe a land swap to gain some access and to maybe even gain a little more land. But I want my feelings on that. We've driven it, we've been all around it. It's a beautiful piece of property. It is sitting right in the middle of, well, to the left or the right, whichever way you're standing, you've got commercial property. All this land around it is to be developed. I have a concern with building a school building in what could be commercial. Now, the problem if it goes residential, if we come in there and build a school, guess what's going to happen? You're going to fill that school up within a 2-mile radius or within just a few streets. So it's a valuable piece of land. We will someday need to put a school there. I will tell you that. What we're trying to do is put them in the hot spots, and that allows a chance for busing and stuff for us to be able to better use those facilities. If we build at Jackson Hill today, I would tell you within 2 years it would be near capacity within the neighborhoods that could touch it. But on the flip side, I have a concern about spending that kind of money and it ending up residential all around it. Then you've got an unpopular.
Exactly. You'd fill up in a heartbeat.
Commercial?
Could be, yeah.
Right now, I think it is zone commercial right there.
Yeah, and that's some things we're trying to work through and plan. We got to be very, very careful.
Exactly.
There's a lot of residential going right in there too.
There is, yeah, because
down
it
the ground
touches.
right now.
Jackson Hills is amazing.
Pivot Station's huge.
Yeah, and so, but that was a good purchase because you're going to need that at some point. There's no doubt about it.
There any other questions? This is just for informational only, so, anybody's got any question, I really wish you'd ask them now instead of when he brings this to us as a packet, then we want to get on the floor and ask all the questions. So if you have any now or even after now, I'm sure you have his phone number. If not, I know he and Michael will be more than happy to share that information with each of you. Yes, sir, please.
I know land is more and more expensive all the time. Do you all have any kind of idea what kind of money we're talking about?
Till you put this out there, it's hard to.
Is there any ability to negotiate with these people that say, okay, I want to sell this 50 acres for $100 million?
Oh yeah.
Everything's
And understand,
negotiable.
if we go through this process and we
Rules
don't
state
get
everything's negotiable.
what we think's good land, we
Start
do it
all
again.
over.
We don't have to, and yes, we can always. You can always ask a man if he'll take less.
Now, who are the negotiators in this case?
Well, I'll be glad to negotiate. I'm pretty.
No, I know you are, but I'm just saying. Does the school board
Also,
have something?
I think we made a comment, and somebody tell me, you correct me if I'm wrong, we also said anything we purchase have to be appraised as well. Is that not right?
That's what it does at the county commission. I
Okay.
guess it would
Still apply here. So regardless if they say 100 million and the appraisal say 65, it is
Oh, I
what it
know.
is.
I suspect they're not gonna wanna spend more than what it's appraised for.
Exactly.
No, we've not talked about it, but
Yeah.
it's not good business.
No.
And therefore you may get, we don't know what, we may not have any interest. I think we will. But if we go through the process and we score them and we can't come to, we just may have to say, we're gonna look for something else. And we gotta be willing to do that.
You
In
gotta
the
willing
best
to
interest
say
of
no.
county.
Exactly, that's my point.
Yep.
I'd just like to say thank you. This has been a very good, informative meeting, education, and we appreciate you bringing this to us and informing all the commissioners in here about this. We appreciate that.
And if you have questions, call, and you can call Michael, me and him's gonna give you the same answers, we're on the same page, we're meeting regularly, know what we're looking for. And understand though, the board is the one that ultimately can approve. We just gathering information for them. I do wanna make one more point, because it's gonna come up. Why would we want or send out something for 18 to 150? You really, ideally, the numbers that we have found and looked at, not just here, but looking at everybody that's building, 20 acres for a elementary, 50 approximately, 35 to 50 depending on the land for a middle school. And then another really ideally, you really, with the way we're building campuses today, you need 60, 65 for 2 schools, high school. But if you, well, why 150? if there's a tract of land or people that would put a tract of land together, and we're gonna model Rutherford County. They've done a good job of and for instance, on that 109, that would become a community. Your school will always be the center of your community. And as we grow, we just think, as educators, one thing we can do as a county, if we're gonna get all this growth, let's stay community oriented. And there's nothing that draws that. It's your schools first, then it's your churches, and then it's your mom and pop businesses.
Totally agree.
And if there's a big tract of land that somebody's willing to put up, it would also save you water, sewer, infrastructure, and ideally you would have road that is your school road for safety purposes, where you could absolutely lock that thing down, nobody could get to you, and you would always have an exit for emergency. We don't like to think about that, but you need to think about that. And so if that is available, we would really like to entertain that. And then you build one school on it, then when you get ready, you don't have to worry about land. You put a middle school with it, and you just start the process. But more importantly, it gives these community identities in some of these high growth areas.
What time is the meeting on the 28th? The work
5
session?
o'clock.
5 o'clock
is a work session.
And we encourage you to come to our work session. We're thinking about doing something in December, a joint deal for some more presentations I'd like to make to you about pay and some other things, and just show you as we gather where it's coming from. That I just don't wake up and say this is what we ought to do. That we're doing some things we're really spending a lot of time comparative and looking where other people are at and see where we need to get to. So we may do that in December.
You want to invite them to the board meeting too, they're very entertaining.
You're welcome. You're welcome to come to the board meeting.
You
Welcome to come to the board meeting.
Hey, I go to bed at 8:30.
Well, they should be over in about an hour and a half, but I think I know it was about a 4-hour meeting.
Well, we started at 6, yeah, it went about 4.
I think I'm losing control, guys. Is there any further? I'm good. Yes, sir, Commissioner.
I just want to make a statement, this is Jerry's statement to this commission. I think we're blessed and fortunate to have an administration in the school system. I will thank them and make that public opinion of mine only.
Well, thank you. Mr. Luttrell called me and was talking to me about this. My brain is too small to absorb this, so I know there are bigger brains in the room. So I felt like, each one of you putting your input in now, it would really help to build the relationship between the county commission and the schools. I think that's very important, being they are our largest employer and they take a big chunk of our budget. So I felt
We're your biggest expense.
Yes, you're exactly right. So our biggest expense is sitting right here. You got any questions? Now's your time. Okay. Is there anything else? Any more questions? Any further comments?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
We're done.
Thank you, Jen.